onto the end of the
Yeah,
next one.
I'll make them separate. This is Ed reading a few of his own poems.
Notes from the Cedarburg. Shadows climb these shape-shifting mountains, changing with the changing light. This harsh and unforgiving light, the slow attrition of sheer and splintered stone, of baked and cooling earth, purifies my sight, moves me closer to what it is I mean to say. Above the valley's dark, ripening clusters of stars, dripping light.
Very nice.
Cheers.
Okay, can go straight into the next one.
Okay, these are just some short ones. They'll be in the next Eka book.
Okay.
Inertia. He sits, his mind a bat, a flitting shadow. The day soon passes. Raindrops. Raindrops on the windscreen. His mind again suspended between the multiplying drops and their swift cancellation. The car's wiper blades.
Nice.
Behind him a darkness. Behind him a darkness, lit occasionally by trails of words. Ahead of him, the riddle of a landscape.
Nice.
The wind in Woodstock. The wind in Woodstock goes on rearranging the litter in the street. The clutter in my life I've yet to sort through.
Too true, eh? Too true.
Okay.
Okay, on that note, with these poems, how do you write poetry? Do you suddenly feel inspired and think, I must get that down? Or do you sit and say, now I'm going to write a poem?
I think poems write themselves all the time. I think that we are just the space that the poems find. And
Sure.
so there are things which are useful to different people, I guess, or different things are useful to different people.
No, but what I'm saying is, do you sit down and say, now I'm going to write a poem, or are you busy doing something and suddenly think, hey,
no,
I've got to get this down now?
No, I think what I'm trying to say with that is that that we are just the space that poems are written in. Is that it's just I guess a kind of awareness or receptiveness to the world, or to what one's feeling. So if one is open to whatever happens to come through, then that's where things happen.
Sure.
And often, so for me, it's things like walking or running. That's where a lot of ideas, and then your mind actually writes a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. It just comes out a certain way. That's why the practice of writing is actually the most important thing. So because it's just you just put yourself in the space where you are receptive to whatever comes.
Okay.
So part of what I've tried to do, or what we've tried to do with the Red Wheelbarrow, I don't know if you want to get to this now.
Yes,
later.
you can stop. You can go into that.
Is to draw attention to the craft of writing by bringing in each time. So the open mic section, there's a featured poet, and that's followed by an open mic. And in the open mic, I always try and bring in, and as do the other people involved in the Red Wheelbarrow, we bring in poems by other poets, because it just creates a context for what's gone before, and it draws attention to here are really well crafted poems.
Do you give a chance to up and coming ones, people who've just started writing poetry?
Absolutely. So that's part of the reason for starting the Red Wheelbarrow has been the fact that there aren't enough slots in a calendar year to accommodate everyone who might want to read, could read. So then it becomes tricky, because in a sense, you're a gatekeeper, because you have to you want to encourage, and that's what Hugh Hodge did. He brought in voices from all over. He didn't. So he gave space to people to.
And I believe he didn't turn anybody away. Ever.
No. He was fiercely egalitarian.
Yeah, that's a great quality.
Absolutely, he was an inspiration, I think, to many people. But in terms of what Melissa and Nondwe and Jacques and myself are doing with the Red Wheelbarrow, he clearly is an inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there's that yearly poetry festival in Robertson, is it? Or Greyton?
It's in McGregor.
McGregor.
Yes, it's happening again this year in November.
Okay.
And it's exciting times.
Is the Red Wheelbarrow part of that? Or?
Yes, there's an open mic, which we're lucky enough to have an open mic section there. We had a poetry competition this year, which is going to be an annual thing. So yeah, all of these things are just spaces for poetry. We're just one of the spaces for poetry. So McGregor Poetry Festival, they're the anthologies. They come from the McGregor Poetry Festival. There are Patricia Schonstein's Africa anthologies. And then there are all those, stanzas, New Coin, New Contrast. There's Caravan Press, there's Uhlanga Press, Nick Mulgrew.
So is that McGregor Festival countrywide, or is it just Cape Town people, basically?
It's countrywide. They invite whoever wants to. I think you submit, you indicate that you're interested in participating, and they arrange. They've got a weekend in which to cram in a whole lot of people who want to read. So
wow. Have you considered about doing something similar in Cape Town itself? Poetry festival.
I don't know about a festival, but certainly at the moment we've only had Zoom readings, which we've had poets from Ireland, we've had poets from Australia, I think, as well, and just poets around the country. But physical readings, in-person readings, that's where things started, and I prefer those. So I'm hoping that at some point we can get back to a space where those kinds of readings are possible.
Well, I believe we're heading to level 1, which makes it possible, viable.
Yeah, I think it's more viable in that way. It's also the problem of a venue, and
because restrictions are being lifted. You can see everywhere.
Yeah,
they're having gigs again.
Yes, I'm not sure how lucky we'll be. Maybe they'll shift it back again, but
out of interest, I don't know if you know Bill Knight, the musician.
Yes.
This coming Sunday, he's having a show with a lady who's just published a book of poetry. I can't think of her name now. I'll send it to you.
Okay, that sounds great.
At the Cottage Club in Fishhook.
He's certainly someone who.
He's not a poet, but I really like his lyrics.
He's certainly a gifted songwriter, and I've heard him play before. I've enjoyed him and his music. So.
And I am going to suggest him opening his venue for poetry. But that's Fishhook. Would that be very central to you guys meeting or not really?
It's something to think about. Certainly, there's the possibility of moving between venues so that you don't overwhelm one particular space. So
there's another place I would have thought would have been quite obvious for such things. The book lounge. There in Riebeek Street.
The book lounge.
Rudderheck Road.
Yes, it's Rilland Street, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're interested in tying that sort of thing to book launches. They're one of the spaces in Cape Town, like Clark's Bookshop, that really keep poetry alive. So everything's worth a try. I think
because I do have a few contacts there. Maybe I can just run it by them. I know Johan Botha. He's one of the DJs on Bush Radio.
Okay, but what you just said about Bill Knight. So some of the Off the Wall, for example, used to be in OBS. So that drew in a lot of the younger people, which was, that was part of, it was exciting because you'd have, suddenly there'd be a whole lot of students from Norway who come to hear poetry, and some of them contribute in the open mic. And
Yeah, that was brilliant.
yeah, actually that is, that is one of the reasons to be doing what I'm doing is the element of surprise. It's the fact that there is that open mic. So someone comes along, brings something completely unexpected. You learn about what's out there.
Yeah.
It expands your frame of reference. So, and that's a big part of why the Red Wheelbarrow is around in the first place, is because everyone brings a frame of reference to poetry. They have an understanding of it, a context for it within their own lives.
Sure.
And by bringing in different readers, all the time, bringing in different poets in terms of the open mic, not just your own stuff, but someone else's stuff.
Yeah.
You expand and sort of challenge people's frame of reference.
Sure.
What constitutes, what is a poem,
Yeah.
etc. So,
and of course, you will get those people who will ask, are all cultures and races included?
obviously, it sort of goes without saying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I had to ask because there will be those who will ask.
Okay. Well, I think it's exciting to be part of something where, you
Different cultures.